It's good to, I guess, with any investment thing, is to diversify your risk. So one of the ways of looking at that is, well, if I diversify where I hold property, I might hold one in Brisbane, one in Perth, one in Adelaide, one in Sydney. It's a good way to diversify. It's also a good way to get around things like land tax, because land tax is a state-based thing. So you only pay land tax on the property you've got in the state. So if you hold it in different states, you can stay under the land tax barrier in most states. One of the, I guess, the most common things that we tend to see is a lot of people see it as very hard to get into the property market and become an investor. And I guess if you're somebody who's just starting out and buying your first home, it is harder now than it has been in the past to start out. Finance has changed a bit. You used to have the 100% loans. You could go out there and get started, not a problem. These days it's a lot harder. You need your 5% genuine savings to do most lenders. There are still some which will get away without that. But to start in property, you don't need to actually own, to start in property investing, you don't need to own a property. You could be renting, and I've got quite a lot of clients who rent. They don't own their own home, they just rent, and they buy investment properties one after the other and just keep on renting. They have no interest in buying their own home, because some of them may be professionals such as doctors who'll travel around and they'll get posted to different hospitals. They don't want to buy a house because they know that in 2-3 years time they're going to get posted somewhere else. They'll just rent for now, and they'll just rent wherever they go to. So, I mean, they obviously have the income, but they have no need for buying their own home. So they'll go and buy investment properties as a way of investing for their future and putting their income to good use. If you do have and I guess if we go back to the traditional way most people do start, which is they have their own home, they've been paying it off for a number of years, they get to a stage where they worked out that, oh, the bank loan's only this much, and I've got this much equity in the property, and they want to do something with the equity. So what they'll do is they'll think, well, you know, we could use it to buy shares, we could use it to buy property, whatever it may be. So most people, well, sorry, not most people, some people will decide property is a good way to go. They'll go and talk to friends, relatives, maybe financial planners. There's a whole raft of people who talk to about, and it's good to talk to about people you know who, I guess, aren't linked to a fee in any way, who they're just friends who you can trust, who you trust what they're saying, and you can get a good opinion from them as to whether it's a good idea or not to invest in property. But essentially the way they do it is they take the equity they've got, they borrow against that, they use that to buy to pay for the deposit and fees for their next property, their investment property. The rest of it is provided by the bank. So it's always good to use most of somebody else's money rather than your own to buy a property. So you go to the bank, they fund most of it, you only have to put in a portion of it, and that's borrowed money anyway because you're using it from equity. And essentially what happens is that's how you get the first one, and that's how you continue on getting the next one. So the equity in your own home and the investment property grows, you then tap into that equity, you go and buy the next one. The more and more properties you have, they're growing away, they've got more equity growing into them, so you just slowly tap on that equity, and that's paying for the deposit and fees of the next products, next properties that you're buying. So as long as you've got the income coming from somewhere, and it doesn't necessarily have to be from the job. We've got people who use a line of credit against their properties to draw money out and pay for the shortfall in their properties. That's a perfectly reasonable way, still tax deductible, still works. As long as you've got the income there, the bank will keep lending you money. I guess the important thing is to get a good team behind you to work with. So that normally includes a solicitor, perhaps a real estate agent who's going to either find you the property or manage the property for you, a finance broker who will find you the right finance, an accountant who will understand it, and when it comes to tax return time will do it right for you. So it's just important to get that team behind you. Lastly, just looking at the difference quickly, if we looked at the difference over a 20-year term, if you had just your own property that you'd bought, and say you'd paid $250,000 for your property, the initial loan on it was $200,000, and you were paying that as a principal and interest repayment. In 20 years, we'll say the property is estimated to be worth $1 million. The loan you've paid down to $20,000 because you've been paying off the principal over time. So you have a net equity or net worth of $980,000, which is great. You've got your property, it's worth $980,000, you've come to retirement, and you've only got your super and your perhaps age pension to live off of. At least you've got a house over your head, but depending on how much super you've got, you may not have enough income to actually enjoy your retirement the way you'd like to. So the strategy we look at is not just having the one property, but having multiple properties. So if we use the same scenario, if you had 3 properties, you purchased them for $250,000 each. They each had a $200,000 loan against them. You paid that loan interest only over the 20-year term. When it comes to 20 years, we're going to estimate the value as $1 million each for them. You've got 3 of them, so that's $3 million. Obviously, you've still got the initial loan amount there, $200,000 on each property. So the loan amount is $600,000. So the equity or the net worth that you've got after is $2.4 million instead of $180,000. So you've got a lot more there. One of them might be your own home, which is all good. And if you're at that stage and you don't have enough super and you don't have enough age pension, you can then sell off a property, or if you've got enough rental income coming from the properties, just live on the rental income. You can sell the property to get the extra income you need to enjoy the retirement the way you want to. I guess the main thing is make sure you've got the right finance structure in place to start with. That's why we look at not just your immediate goal but your longer term goal, to make sure that we put the right structures in place and to help you achieve to get to the end point you want. And it's good to have a goal in mind as to where you want to get, whether it's number of properties or a particular amount that you want to get to in X amount of years to help you, drives you to keep going. That's as much as I've got to tell you, because I'm getting the flag to tell me I need to stop. So there's a flyer in the bags. On the back of it there's a special offer. If you want any more information, come and have a chat to me and I can help you out. There's also a couple more handouts down the front here which I'll give to you guys. Thank you very much.